Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I'm back with another review. And today, a few days late for Halloween, we're taking a look at the Transformers crossover line, celebrating the movie Frankenstein. Um, this is Decepticon Frankentron. Now, a few things to note. Frankenstein was written by Mary Shelley, the wife of the great poet Percy Shelley, who actually was very well known in his time. And if you've gone to a accredited college, you probably are familiar with some of his works. Well, Mary was a writer in her own right and came up with the story. Also, I should be very clear that it's not Frankenstein, but it's Frankenstein. Um, Also, a common misconception and mistake that is made is that the monster is actually called Frankenstein. No, the monster is just the monster. Although I do believe in the book, it at one point names itself. That's the other thing. The monster actually develops quite a bit of intelligence and becomes quite literate. There were many liberties taken with the movie. Now, the final thing I want to point out is while this figure is labeled as a Decepticon, in most versions of the story past the original film, the monster is actually represented as a gentle soul that ends up doing good. For example, if you grew up with the movie Monster Squad, you would remember that the monster ended up helping the kids out quite a bit. That's the other thing I want to point out. While this is celebrating the universal release of Frankenstein, um, the actual story is in the public domain. So many people over the years have adapted the story in many different mediums. Basically, if you've ever seen something about creating life or bringing something back to life or transferring a brain or consciousness into another body, it's a wink and a nod from Frankenstein. For example, the Great G1 episode where Spike's consciousness got transferred into Autobot X. That was a little bit of an homage to the story there. Now, speaking of homages, Frankentron is a repaint retool of Impactor, and this is actually now the fifth use of the mold. There was the original release in Siege. There was a repaint with a new head in a three-pack with a clear Mirage. There was a Walmart exclusive release with, I believe, another head and more battle damage deco. The release with Mirage was a Decepticon. And then there was a fourth release based on the comics, which I think another slightly different head that's in between the Walmart and that three-pack release with a slightly more comic accurate deco. So this mold's been around. And to be honest, it is a very good tank mold, excuse me. You do have due to the transformation, a rotating turret. Now, what is new here is besides the head, which we'll see when we get into the transformation, the barrel and the blast effect, which is removable. The barrel clearly is based on some of the vintage 1950s style prop stuff of, you know, the mad scientist lab and gimmicks, and it works very well with the figure. And I just noticed you got the Decepticon logo painted on the sides here. Also, you might want to, I could also mention the blast effect does have a peg there that it can be held on its own. So there's a lot of variety there. I'm just going to put that off to the side. Other than that, unfortunately, again, because the impactor mold is so old, I I only have, I think, the original and that three pack. And you know what? I also the one of the most recent one was an Amazon exclusive, but they're all packed away, so I don't have them handy. But I can tell you that really looking at the tank mode, the only thing that's going to be different is the head, the barrel, and the hand. So you know what? We can just go ahead and get into the transformation. The first thing you want to do is come around behind here flip out what's going to be the feet. They kind of peg in to the tabs there that are part of the waist section. So there is that. That's what actually holds this side panel in place. Rotate this down and forward, and that will sort of soft friction into place, just like so. Rotate the feet inward, and you do actually have quite a bit of ankle articulation due to the way that everything transforms. Flip out the feet, and then what you can do is straighten out. You want to make sure you're bending not from the hips right here, but from this waist joint that will snap into place. And you can, oh, actually, no, you know what? Those tabs were strictly there for the feet. And also go ahead and can separate the legs. So you actually now have a little bit of a Gerwalk Frankentron tank. Next, what you want to do is lift up this panel slightly. And something that I feel the instructions kind of didn't explain well is how you attach the barrel. First of all, what you want to do is just rotate one of the arms out of the way on that armpit hinge. That'll allow me to show you this a little bit easier. They actually show it in the instructions that you're pegging into this green section, which you can do, but that's only on one side. What you really want to do, and now first of all, make sure that the barrel piece here has this extra section here facing down. You're going to peg into that hole right there, right above that green section, and you'll do that with both sides. That will hold the barrel much more securely. So flip the other arm section around, rotate it until the elbows are facing upward. So you're basically doing like a 180. Flip out the hands, and you'll see that the hands are new. And unfortunately, two things I'm a little disappointed about. Number one, you don't have the 5 millimeter port right there, and number two, there's no way to rotate the hands upward normally. Flip down this chest piece, bring the arms down, rotate the cannon over so it's facing upward. Come around the back, open up that back panel, flip up the head, close the panel, and rotate the head around so it's facing forward. And there you have, in all its glory, Frankentron. Now, a few things you can do with this piece. Let's see, can you actually hold it with both hands? No, you cannot hold it with the hands. Even though there's uh, holes molded into the hands, you can't. Well, maybe if you do it this way. Hold on. No, no. Hmm. So, wait a minute. Let's see about the. You can get the blast effect being held like that. That looks a little awkward. Basically, the way the instructions show it is, I'm trying to get the feet even. Uh, you can either, and now of course there's different posts, different pegs, what have you. Up here on the shoulder, facing upward, as like it's like, oh, you can, let me show you. You can, it's like it's handling energy. It helps if I adjust the camera, like it's getting lightning from the sky. And I think the way most of us are going to do it is peg it into the forearm here. Again, different ways you can do it, any way you want. And there you go. Now, again, um, the big selling point here is the head. And I have to say, I think they did a pretty snazzy job here. Also, using the impactor mold, unlike Dracula, who I have, but I've never reviewed, you don't have to worry about the figure falling apart. So I think that's kind of cool. And again, with the impactor mold, you do have the 5 millimeter ports all over, so you can go to town with it. But let's also not forget you also have the hand, so you can go. "Rrr, rrr, rrr." It's actually funny that the original Frankenstein movie was in black and white, and Boris Karloff was painted green because that showed up better on the film. But not for nothing. I could even see this slightly retooled into a Incredible Hulk Marvel type of crossover. Well, I mean, other than that, you still have all that great articulation from the impactor mold. Really, the ankle pivots. I mean, Frankenstein is moving in way. Frankentron is moving in ways that Frankenstein uh, really never was intended. Even at least in the movie. In the book, again, fully intelligent creature, quite literate, but it also became very much the villain. Uh, and in fact, Frankenstein, the doctor, had to form a team to go after and stop the monster because it became a went on like a murderous rampage. So yeah, I really think that's about all we can do with Frankentron. One last thing I kind of want to mention is while I appreciate the packaging that Hasbro does, it is very hard to get the figure out of the box. You want to pull here, and it's like a video cassette. And there's a couple tabs that actually stop it from coming out all the way. So you can't pull the tray out this way. So you have to open up the side here and pull it out backwards. And then, open it normal, like a normal box. The other thing is because there's no window and it's these plastic ties, the figure's really not going to be secured in the packaging uh, after you take it out. The other thing is that when you're putting it back in the box, you have to make sure you have the tabs lined up properly so you can work the gimmick. That's going to get annoying over time, but it does fit and is uniform with the first release, which was Dracula. Um, so yeah, how about we pause and come back with my final thoughts? I really like Frankentron. Like I said at the beginning, I actually never reviewed Dracula. And that was a combination of the fact that I was very dismayed that a Target exclusive in the United States was mass retail around the world, allowing a lot of other people to get the figure early. I know it's just me, it's just one of those things. But the other thing was I had learned by that point that the Titans Returned Mind White mold really was not standing up to test of time. Um, and actually was prone to breakage, especially in the legs where the wings folded up. So I was very concerned about handling it since it was a very cool looking figure. And you kind of almost had like a robotic Bela Lugosi. So that's why I have it and I'm going to hold on to it, but I've passed on reviewing it. This one, Frankentron here, much better. And I appreciate the acknowledgement of the universal monsters. And it's actually kind of funny that you can go in a store now and you can find two or three different companies, or I should say maybe one or two companies making a couple different versions of the monster. Black and white, glow in the dark, levels of articulation. Um, so I think we're in a little bit of a resurgence and revival of the Universal monsters. It's a shame that Universal has never been able to create the shared universe that they've wanted to, but these things happen. Now, minor quibbles aside about the hands being locked in that position, which I do understand why they did that. I think you can have a lot of fun with this figure. And I'm curious to see some photographers who might have some of those accessories out there for those other monster figures creating some stuff here with Frankentron. But that's it for the review. This is an Amazon exclusive. I almost forgot to mention that. So it is shipping now, and I think it's still available, so you can pick it up. But if you like this review, please like, comment, and subscribe as we get closer to the holiday season. It's going to be very helpful it, in doing that because it helps promote my channel through the algorithms. Another way to help the channel is through my Patreon, which is www.patreon.com/chuckdog1999. All I ask for is $1 a month, $12 a year. As we close in on the season of giving, if you can spare that little bit of money, that really does help. It's not like my channel is going to go away or anything, but it does help keep the infrastructure of the channel going and takes the edge off on some of the more expensive figures. But I'll be honest with you, as I always say, if you can't swing the dollar a month or $12 a year, your views are more than thanks enough. Patreon is just a cherry on top of an already generous Sunday. And you guys have been with me for over 10 years, and I absolutely appreciate the support you've given me in that time. We've had a lot of fun, and I look forward to what's coming in the future. So, with that being said, this is your old pal Chuck for Frankentron. Ritz. If you got that, you're awesome. We will see you next time.